The rain fell soft that day. Not in sheets, not in thunder, just soft, like a breath held too long, finally exhaled. It dampened the dust of the main road, clung to the porch rails, kissed the tops of heads like a farewell no one asked for. Beneath that weeping sky stood a woman in gray. She wasn't old, though sorrow made her seem so. 24, with wheat blonde hair matted to her temples, feet bare against wet planks, and hands clenched quietly in front of her. Her name was Coraline. No one said it aloud. Not anymore. The platform was makeshift, 3 planks atop 2 crates, and behind her stood a woman who spoke too loud for the mood. Mrs. Larrabee, her mother-in-law, red-faced with spite, pointed one heavy hand toward Coraline, as if displaying a broken chair. She's still strong enough to clean and cook, no debts, no disease. She just can't give no babies. Useless to my son, rest his soul. I'll take $1 and not a penny less. $1 for a day, a week, a lifetime, I don't care. The townsfolk stood back, half under the awning of the general store, half beneath umbrellas of their own decency. No one rushed forward. A few looked to the preacher, who looked to the ground. The sheriff wasn't present. Maybe on purpose. Coraline didn't tremble. She didn't cry. If anything, her stillness unsettled them more than sobbing would have. A girl should wail when she's being sold, they thought. She should plead, resist, collapse. But Coraline only stared beyond them, as if watching something far past the buildings, past the hills, past all of them. Her dress was a dull gray cotton, once white, washed too many times in cold water and sorrow. The hem was torn, the sleeves stitched and restitched by tired hands. The rain made it cling to her like skin. She didn't move to shake it off. A man stepped forward finally. Kyle Granger, owner of the saloon, cane in one hand and a pipe in the other. "I'll take her," he muttered, dropping a silver dollar onto the board without even looking at Coraline. "Could use someone to mop up the floor and fetch bottles." Mrs. Larrabee clapped her hands once, sharp as a slap. "Sold." Coraline's head did not move. But something behind her eyes flickered. Barely, like the final glow of a fire. She turned, just slightly, to step down from the platform. She didn't look at the man who'd bought her. What would be the point? And then came hoofbeats. Slow, even. No one looked up at first. They'd all grown used to horses bringing more trouble than peace. But when the rider dismounted and the sound of 2 faint cries floated on the rain, heads turned. The man was tall, soaked to the bone, his coat hanging heavy with water. His beard was short, ragged from travel. In his arms, wrapped tight against the weather, were 2 bundles. They squirmed and whimpered, infants, both, red-faced and restless. He said nothing as he approached the platform. Just stared for a long moment at Coraline, rain running down his hat brim, pooling at his boots. Mrs. Larrabee scowled. "We're done here, stranger. She's sold." The man looked at her, then at Kyle Granger, then back to Coraline. His voice was low, roughened by trail dust and days without comfort. "She's not yours to sell." The words drifted in the rain, quiet as they were. Mrs. Larrabee sneered. "She's my dead son's wife. Useless now. Law says I got say over where she goes." "No," the man replied simply. "Law says people ain't property. Least not the good kind." He stepped forward and pulled from inside his coat 1 crumpled coin, a single silver dollar, and set it gently on the platform beside the first. The gesture wasn't loud. It didn't shout or demand. But it silenced the small crowd with something else entirely. "She comes with me," he said. "Not as wife. Not as servant. Just, she don't belong here." Coraline looked up. Just slightly. And he looked back at her, not with hunger or pity, but with something quieter. Recognition. As if he'd once stood on that same platform, in a different shape, and known the feel of rain and shame all the same. "What's your name?" Mrs. Larrabee spat. "Sam McAllister." "Don't know you." "You don't have to." Kyle shifted on his heels. "I already paid." Sam turned toward him. "You want the coin back?" "No," the saloon keeper said after a moment. "Keep it. She wouldn't last long in my place anyhow." Coraline stepped down from the platform. Still barefoot. Still silent. She walked to Sam slowly, each step soft in the mud, her body moving like she wasn't sure she was real. When she reached him, he didn't speak. He just shifted the weight of the babies in his arms so she could help, and she did, gently taking one, her arms folding around it like she was born for it. Her hands, which had been clenched for days, finally opened. The baby stopped crying. No one spoke as they walked away together. The rain still fell, soft and steady. They passed the general store, the blacksmith, the shuttered church. No one called out. Even Mrs. Larrabee didn't scream again. Coraline didn't ask where they were going. She didn't ask who the children were, or why a man like him would offer shelter to a woman like her. She just held the child close and kept walking. That night, she lay beneath a roof that didn't leak, in a room that smelled of cedar and milk. The baby in her arms slept, fingers curled tight around one of hers. She watched it in the dark, unable to sleep, wondering if perhaps this was a dream she'd soon wake from. In the next room, Sam paced quietly with the second infant, murmuring something too soft to be words. No promises had been made. No names exchanged beyond what was needed. But when the wind changed and the rain turned to mist, Coraline closed her eyes and whispered to no one at all. Maybe this time I won't have to leave. And somewhere deep inside, where pain had once laid roots, something small and fragile began to bloom. The cabin sat low on the edge of pine and pasture, its shingles uneven, its windows stubborn in their frames. The rain had passed by the time they arrived, though it left the earth wet and soft beneath Coraline's bare feet. The horse, black and calm, didn't resist the hitching post, and Sam said nothing as he pushed open the front door and stepped aside for her to enter first. Coraline paused on the threshold. She still held one of the babies close to her chest, and the child's breath tickled against her collarbone. Her hair clung damply to her cheeks, and though she had not spoken since the platform, her silence had shifted from numb to alert. She was watching again, as though taking measure of what this place might ask of her. The inside of the cabin smelled of wood smoke, sour milk, and pine tar. It was neither tidy nor filthy, just lived in, like the man who had brought her here. A low fire burned in the hearth, and on the far side of the room, beneath the window, stood two wooden cribs, rough-hewn but solid. One had a quilt draped over the side, faded blues and reds stitched in crooked diamonds. The other held nothing but a folded cloth and a wooden rattle. Sam crossed the room, laid the baby in his arms into the empty crib, and stepped back. He didn't check to see if Coraline followed. She had. She moved quietly, her steps barely creaking, and laid the other twin beside its brother or sister. She didn't know which, and adjusted the swaddle without being told. Sam watched her for a moment, then turned to hang his coat. Rainwater dripped in a slow rhythm from its hem onto the floorboards. "You can sleep in the loft," he said at last, voice low. "It's dry, and the stove heat reaches it some. Ain't got another bed yet." Coraline only nodded. She didn't ask questions. Not yet. The next morning he found her already up, her hair braided neatly, the hem of her dress pinned where it had torn. She had boiled water, cleaned the hearth, and was holding one of the twins while rocking gently on the bench near the window. He didn't say thank you. She didn't ask for it. There was an understanding, faint but certain, blooming between them like frost melting into dew. It had no shape yet, only a rhythm. He would feed the livestock, she would keep the children warm. He would chop wood, she would bake the bread. No formal words passed between them, no declaration of duties, yet each day formed a quiet partnership. Coraline learned quickly. She learned the baby's cries, the difference between hunger and fear, gas and loneliness. She learned which crib squeaked and how to fix it. She didn't ask about the children's mother. Sam didn't speak of her, and Coraline understood enough to leave ghosts alone. She did ask, finally, for the children's names. Sam was sanding down a fence post on the porch when she stepped outside,